Hello, everybody. Glad to see everybody and on this fine evening. Thanks for inviting me on to talk about, as I've been talking about for many years for you guys, iOS and iOS 18 and iOS 18.1. I'm going to be going, what I'm going to do is I'm going through a list of many of the features I find to be fascinating and working really well, and things that are fun to uh, to know about and to be aware of. As well as might hit a little bit on security too with iOS as well. So let me just go ahead and start sharing, and we can get started here. So my first iOS 18 feature that I found to be really cool is that you now have the ability to be able to record calls, phone calls, and doing call recording. Now, this screen here actually shows what it happens when you click this little guy right here, which is this little guy at the top, and that's the record button when you're in the middle of a phone call. Okay, so it is going to be able to go to this once you click it to this screen. You click continue, and then warns you with verbal as well as visual to you that the call is going to be recorded. So then once it starts recording, you carry on with the conversation, and you notice that there's a recording bar right here that allows you to be able to record the call, which is pretty cool. So now the person on the other side is going to be warned and let them know that it is being recorded. So if they don't want to be recorded, then you would have to stop and not record it. So there are some legalities there depending on where you live, but this is a nice option. So once you finish the recording and you stop the recording, and what you do is you will go right to here, and this is what's going to happen. It actually saves the call from within Notes, Apple Notes, and then what it does, it will give a summary of all the things that were discussed here, and then the link here allows you to be able to play it, and then here's a short summary of what was discussed and telling you the information. So I found that to be pretty cool when it comes to adding a new feature that's brand new for iOS 18 to be able to record your calls. Let me go and bring up my iPhone. We can start, here it is. And we're going to start on the next feature here. I found this other feature really cool too as well. It's being able to hide names on your iPhone as far as on the home screen. So hiding app names so they're hidden within the folders. So I've got my iPhone here. I think everybody can see it. Let me move in the middle of the screen here so it's easier to see. And so I'm scrolling through all of the apps, and let's say I have Authenticator on here. I want to hide this so I don't want anybody to get to it. So I can click here. Then I'm gonna select right here where it says require Face ID. So I go ahead and require. So you can do it a number of ways when it comes to hiding and changing, hiding apps here. You can request just the Face ID. So when someone launches it, it has to have a Face ID to be used every time you open it. Or what you can do is you can hide and request a Face ID right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do hide and request Face ID. So once that finishes, this is going to come up and it's going to tell you this app will no longer be visible on your iPhone except in a few places such as Settings, Face ID, and on your passcode. Or your passcode will be required to reveal, open, or use the S lady with the app. And it'll have an obscured appearance, and there'll be notified. It'll be no notifications, calls, or alerts will come through when you hide this whatever app it happens to be. So I'm going to tap Hide App. So poof, it's gone. So now you don't see it on the menu anymore. So now if you go over to the app library, scroll down here, look at there. There's some hidden apps here, and there are some apps I'd already had in there before. So there is the Authenticator app. So now it's actually showing a code because I'd used Authenticator, but as you see, it just opened. So if you go back here again, I had some. Let me try this again. I have two other apps in here. Like this was DoorDash, and I wanted to lock that out. So now it allows me to open up the app by it being hidden, and it's pretty cool that these are now hidden. No one will be able to see this, and the only way they'll be able to see it is if if you tap it, and then it's going to say requires the Face ID. So, and then it brings it up. So that in case I have the AT&T app hidden for it as well. So uh, if you want to simply lock the app, like I said, you have both options: recording the Face ID and as well as authenticating the Face ID. So what you also can do, if you want to remove it, you can tap it again and select don't require Face ID, and then poof, it goes out of that folder and back to where it was. Or it puts in, it randomly puts it in place. I don't know where it put. It actually does. It actually brings it back up at the top here as recently added. So then once that happens, I tap this, and then I want to add it back to the home screen. So that's where it is. So it brings it back to the home screen here. So that is hiding apps in your iPhone screen. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is Control Center. I absolutely love Control Center. I think it's one of the best things they've ever done with iOS, and iOS 18 is no different. So we know how to get to Control Center, right? We do go to swiping here, and we go to the Control Center. So you have all these buttons here, and you know before you had, it was very buried. You had to go into Settings, Control Center to be able to add and remove things that are in here now, right? Well, now what you do is you tap anywhere on a blank screen, and now they've got some new things here that are really nifty. So if you wanted to resize a particular app, you actually can grab this bar here, and depending on what it is, it makes it into a larger widget if you wanted to, right from within the Control Center, or you can make it smaller again. If you wanted to make one of these other ones smaller, if it has that option, then you can also move this over to make it smaller. This is the playing button, so then it makes it different sizes here. So you've got that customizations here, which is great. But now you've got more granular control to being able to add more controls. Now here are some of the most commonly used Control Center apps that that we know about, like screen recording, if you want to do a quick note, scanning a code, doing screen mirroring, recognize music with Shazam. But you also have all these other apps that are also supported in here if you wanted to have a quick place. Like my favorite weather app is Carrot. You can add maps and weather as the two buttons there if you wanted to, and that gives you some great ways of being able to do that. If you use the clock a lot, now you've got the alarmer, timer, and stopwatch all in one touch. That's going to be added to the Control Center. You've got connectivity, the display and brightness, and it just goes on and on. Here's Instagram. If you use Instagram, you can have a button there. Mona, which is a Mastodon client, you can go in there and have it and be able to have a quick control button that says New Post. You want to open up a tab, you could do that as well. And here's notes. And, I mean, it's endless. So all these things here, it just keeps going and going here. Even some of the accessibility features that you wanted to add, for vision and for motor accessibility, if you want to use that in hearing, that's all available there as well, which is pretty awesome when it comes to that. So, so that is Control Center. I have let me see if I get this. Yep, here we go. I found this a little easier to show this to you through a presentation. So for those of you who have iPhone 15 Pros and any iPhone 16 model, if you're not familiar with it, it's called the control button, and that's the little button that's at the side. You know what they did, starting with iOS 15, not iOS 15, the iPhone 15, is they changed the switch. You had a switch that would turn things on and off, and that would give you the option to be able to have a quick button that you can access. So what you can do is you have controls. You actually can add these exact same controls from Control Center, but if you wanted to, if there was a common thing that you did all the time, you would be able to go in here and choose the control. So what I did was here is you have the control button here, and then you have some of the controls that you can add here. Let me see how it'll work if I show the phone live for you here. So if I tap the button, and nope, it's not going to work. So I so that is what this does. So this is kind of an added feature to Control Center, allowing you to be able to add a particular item. Maybe use the calculator a lot. You want to use that as the button instead of that. So, but the only thing is you have to know is if you're one that likes to be able to mute your phone with the ringer quickly like you used to do before, but the switch, a lot of people like to just set it to that. But I wanted to bring this up as part of a new feature that is with with the controls can be added into there and gives you the option to be able to do that. So other things that I'm really impressed with is the home screen customization. If you notice here, let me go back to my black screen here. If you notice here, right here in the middle here, I left this open. I purposely did this because I don't. This is just showing you that I can organize this any way I'd like, so it doesn't have to snap into the position that there is a place here. So like, let's say I want to move this authenticator app, I can edit the home screen, and I can just drag it over to the right here, or I can move it over, of course. But there, see, now I can actually drag that to the bottom there, and I can, if I want this down to the bottom here, I could do that. And let me give it a little more room here. So like this one here, so I can go down to here, and I can go down to here, and I can bring it over to the middle. If I want it right to the middle there. So you can customize the home screen, moving it anywhere on anywhere you want to. So I'll do it again here. So maybe I want this one down here, and I want this one down here. So as you're getting it here, so you see that a lot of the things that this is doing is giving you options as far as what you can do with home screen customizations. And this is a new thing in iOS 18, so I really like that. So check that out. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the calculator. Everybody is probably aware of what the calculator's been doing. You've heard a lot about it here. Here is the calculator now. And what they've done is they've actually changed it in the way where you're typing in a problem, and as you see, it's almost creating like an equation now. It didn't do that before, so it does give you the option to show the whole thing, and you do equal, and then it allows you to be able to get the total for what I just did. But the other thing here is what you can do is you actually can tap this equation again up here and bring it back, and then if I wanted to add something else here, like I want to do times 5 minus 8, whatever I wanted to do, and do equal. As you see, I was able to edit and change the equations on here. So this gives you a nice little option. Now, of course, other things in the calculator here is if you tap this, this now has built in 3 things here. That's the basic calculator. The scientific calculator is now much easier to to get to. So now, let's say if you wanted to do an equation, you can actually tap the um, parentheses and then just do 8. Let's see, 8 divided by 6, and then close parentheses, and then go back to the basic calculator, and then just do equals, and then see what it does. It calculates it that way too. So you've got some flexibility between the scientific and basic calculators, where before you could only go to one or the other. Now, with the other feature was really cool is math notes. And what this does is, and it's a little harder on the iPhone than it is on the iPad. Of course, we remember the big hurrah was the iPad now has a calculator. It never had a calculator for all those years, but now you have one. So in iOS 18, they added this new feature called math notes. And what this does is, and I'll try to do it with my finger here, but I can just do 3. Let me start editing. So you tap it here. If I do, kind of helps if I do it this way. 3 plus 3 equals, and it calculates it. So that's the new calculator feature for doing things by using your finger on an iPhone, but you also can do it with longhand on an iPad using the Apple Pencil, which is pretty cool. So they did add that feature into the calculator as well. Um, so a lot more flexibility on the calculator. I think it's a lot easier. And if you notice here too, this has a bullet up here at the top left. It'll bring up all the calculations that you've done for the last few days, however you've been doing it, and anything that's back there. So if you wanted to go back to it and start working with the calculations again, you could. So it remembers that. So it's kind of cool when it comes to that. So that's a calculator. I think it's kind of fun. So let me go to the settings app here a bit here. I'll move this out of the way a second. If anybody didn't notice, Apple did do quite a bit of changes with the settings app, especially for the good. It's pretty amazing the way they organized it. It's a much better organized way of finding things, because it always was a challenge to find things in here. So one of the coolest things is the fact that it's now in lists here. So what I did was I'm showing you the whole list here. So there's two ways to get to the the settings, and that's what we've known for years is by tapping your account, your Apple account, or formerly known as Apple ID, and going into here, and then it brings you into here to be able to see the settings. But also, if you notice, remember how before you had that long list of apps that you had to scroll through. So now what they've done is they've grouped it into one place. You just tap the apps uh, link there, and then you are able to get to the apps and be able to get to it without having to have to scroll through that whole list. Um, I'll show you here too is if you scroll through this list here, I'm putting it on the iPhone here next to it. You also have the second way of getting to it, and I'm not going to tap my name as it's got my personal information here, but uh, you can scroll through towards the bottom in here, and then you can get to iCloud here towards the bottom if you see this here. So you can go right to iCloud and skip going through there and being able to get this. So now, let me go to here. So now what they've done is they've completely redesigned the iCloud section here, which is kind of nice. So here's what they did here on this side. So it shows your storage, how much is left. I gotta talk to my family here. I'm getting really close on my family storage here. It's only one little less than half a terabyte left here. So and it's got some recommended for you items here, but then it shows how many items are saved to the iCloud, and then you can see all of them by just clicking to see all. And then so it shows how much photos, how much the drive space, how many notes you have, how much mail you have, and so it breaks it down pretty good. And here's notorious. And look how bad I am. And I say things all the time about messages. I have 11.1 gigabytes of stuff in my messages app. That tends to be the biggest storage hog when it comes to iCloud. If you don't have a lot of storage, it's always a good place to look at. So, uh, and then it tells you what the status of your iCloud backup is. Because remember about this. You had to go to all these other different places to get to where this information is now. Now it's all in one place in a screen. So all the iCloud Plus features. I have the iCloud Plus plan with a two terabyte plan, and then it has choices about how much of your family's using it. If you have the family plan, the private relay, which allows you to have hidden IP addresses. Your hide my email address. I use this all the time. You notice I have already 22 addresses in here, and I find it to be so handy, especially when you want to subscribe to something, and then if you say, I don't want to do this anymore, you know what? I'll just delete the hide my email, and then I'll never hear from them again, which is great. This is the advanced data protection. What that is it gives you more advanced features. I'm not going to go too much into that. I have that off right now, but you can turn that on, and it is for some. What's for is if you remember there was an article about people being able to hijack social engineer you by watching someone putting in their passcode, and when they got the phone they'll be able to do it. Adds an extra layer of security, so they can't just put the pin code in. They have to have the Face ID or the Touch ID. In most cases, Touch Face ID. And then you have control of accessing iCloud data on the web. But I keep this on. I don't think this is a problem because Apple keeps it pretty secure when it comes to that. So some pretty nifty things that they added to this. So uh, another new thing that Apple did, they made some changes to the battery and battery charging. It gives you a status here. I did a screenshot here. This one on the left was done on my iPhone 13, so that's the older model, so it doesn't have the new one. This is done on my 16 Pro Max. Well, on the iPhone 13, as you see it, this is what we're used to. It was giving what the capacity is. That's pretty good. I have 100% capacity for a phone that's getting near 4 or 5 years old here. And showing all this stuff, optimizing the battery charging and clean energy charging. What they've done on iOS 18 with the 15 and the 16 models, you now can set a charging limit. So what that is you can, let's say, set the charging limit to 85%. So it helps you preserve the battery's lifespan over time. So just tell the charging limit only go to 85% and do its thing. And then also optimizing the battery charging is the same as it is on the 13, and then the clean energy charging as well. But this was the newest feature that they had added in the battery settings on the 16. So this was something that was pretty cool to see what there is. with this. So let's see. So let's talk a little bit about security. I'm going to go to this, and I'll give credit. I'll give a shout out to Linda. Thank you for sharing this article with me. And I think this is a good idea to talk about because I think what this is. And if she hasn't shared the link with you to this article, I think we get this shared out to everybody. Um, Basically, what this is talking about is the global surveillance. It's a free for all right now from mobile ad data, and they pretty much can track anywhere you go. I'm not going to read it verbatim here, but just knowing your home address, your employer, place where you worship, it's a dangerous power to be able to have this. And some states have implemented a privacy law that anyone can now access this capability thanks to a proliferation of commercial services that hover over this. Um, there's a thing on here that's called made, and that is, of course, I put the definition right here, and gotta make sure I find where I did with this. But what this is a way to actually monitor what is being changed, what's being found here with your ID. So the way to change this as far as the defaults is going to give you places to ask permission before you go in here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna here's the definition here. The there's also a definition of what Apple does. It's called the IDFA. That's the identifier for advertisers that is used by Apple's iOS device, so they can track your data. So you can actually turn this stuff off here. So the way you can disable it is I'll go to the phone here so I can show you. Um, let's go here and go into, there we go. Go to settings and to privacy. Easy way to do that. Search for it. Privacy and security. And then you can go down to Apple advertising, which is of course all the way at the bottom here. This is Apple advertising, and I turn off personal ads because I don't want them to be set that to be off, and that actually gives you the other benefit for that as well. The other thing you can do is just very important, as we know about app tracking. You don't want to have that set on at all as well. That was implemented, I believe, in iOS 17. Type in, oops, tracking. Allow apps to request to track. So you can do that, but I leave that on only because I like it. I like for it to be able to warn me that. But if you notice here, I have every single app turned off, and I keep it turned off. But you can actually turn that off completely, and it never asks if you don't want to. There might be a reason you might want to leave it on here, and as like it says here, it says allows apps to ask for uh, your activity through other companies and apps through websites and that. So this gives you that option to be able to have that security here. Uh, so this is a very cool thing here when it comes to keeping things secure. So anybody have any questions about that at all? Okay. Um, what I'm going to do here is let me go to another thing I was going to talk about. And I'm going to just use some more new features here. I went through that so quickly, I didn't pace myself here. So I'm going to talk about passwords. Is anybody here using the Apple Passwords app here? Are they using that at all? A few people, probably more people using 1Password. I know I love that quite a bit here. So I'm just using this Mac Rumors article just to just kind of give it as a layout here. When you go into the Apple Passwords app, it's installed automatically, and you can remove it if you want to. But I think it's a good backup when it comes to that. And I can't share that with share it on my phone because obviously that has my private passwords. So that's why I'm using this. So the layout is laid out in such a way where it shows all your passwords, any passkeys you've used. Anybody's used passkeys? Passkeys has made things so much easier to sign into things. And you have any codes that you need that stores that. Other cool thing is Wi-Fi. I'll show you that in just a minute how that works. And then you have the whatever security issues there are, and then anything that's been deleted. So it goes through this thing, and then it shows all the different places here where you can actually find the passwords and go through here. And this is another way you can add and you can change passwords. You can go through this. So I think one of the most nifty features is, and I'm okay with showing this to you. I don't think it's going to be secure. And so here's Wi-Fi. So here is a couple Wi-Fi items that are out here already here. So I'm going to show some of the passwords that I have in here. Like here is a password here for my Tableau that I have that I use for watching TV. All you have to do is you go into the particular Wi-Fi here and you just tap and show QR code. So now what you can do is you can actually face your phone and show it to somebody, and they can scan this if it doesn't join, and then they join your Wi-Fi just from a QR code, which is pretty cool. So that gives you some options as far as being able to do that when it comes to the Wi-Fi. I think that's of one of the things that this does do. I think that's a good reason alone for using this if you are already using an alternate password manager like 1Password or Bitwarden or one of those. So that's one of the things I have that I think is great. But the only bad thing about this is if you are going to use it for passwords, and I know they're still working on having the ability of being able to import passwords from another password manager like 1Password. So they haven't opened that up quite yet. So you do have that option. Don't have that option currently when it comes to that. So something to think about and be aware of on this. So let's see. And use another article here. Just makes it easier. Okay, let's talk about this. We're going to talk about of those of you who have iOS or have the iPhone 16. They added a cool new button on here called Camera Control, and where it is you can see it on my camera here. It's on the right hand side of the phone, and so what I have the ability to do is I'm gonna lock it real quick. I can actually push this button, and it allows me to get to the camera just by bringing it up here. So you're seeing my screen here. So now I'm able to take a picture. You also have the ability to being able to slightly touch it and be able to control it. Of course, when I'm doing it, it's not going to work, but you can see it on the camera here where I'm actually trying to move this. It actually, I'll have to push it. Yeah, there you go. So you see how I've got access to zoom. I have access to being able to move it. This is all part of the iPhone 16, but of course you have to have iOS 18 to use it. So I know it's hit or miss. Some people are really liking this button, and some people are not. So I think it is a pretty cool thing to have when it comes to being able to do that. So um, let's talk a little bit about the RCS support in messages. How's that? I'm going to bring this up real quick. So in messages, you have some of the pretty amazing abilities here that they've added. One of the features they added was send later, and what it's added here, so you can actually start a message like this is showing here, and be able to send like this one is like, oh, it's going to be a happy birthday, and then they pick a date, probably the date of the birthday, be able to send it. So now you can set this as send later, and then it's ready to go. So then it'll send when you tell it to. So it's saying in this case, Friday, August 12th at August 2nd at 9 a.m. So you do have that and there's steps to do that. You have tap-back reactions, which those little characters that you can use to respond to a message just by long pressing it, which are kind of fun. whereas you've got you got these tap back responses, but they've customized them. They've made them really cool when it comes to how they look now. So uh, when you go through and actually do this, you also have an emoji support with it, as well as the RCS. And let's talk a little bit about RCS. Now, Rich Communication Services was a text messaging protocol, and what this was is the big debate: the green bubble versus the blue bubble. Having the abilities to being able to talk to somebody with an Android and actually have the Android person have the same experience as they have as we do with the iPhone. So what Apple finally gave into is they actually put in the RCS support and gave you an option as far as uh, the SMS. So it allows you to be able to be more flexible. And here's what it is: it's now supporting higher resolution photos for Android, larger file size, audio messages, real timing typing indicators. That's the one that really threw me off. We're all used to people typing and being able to send a message and knowing that they're responding to you. You never knew that on the Android persons because all of a sudden the message was so up. So that was kind of one of the nice things they've added. Read receipts were there. You do have the ability to send messages over cellular or Wi-Fi. SMS is cellular only, no costs. And then the group chats are improved too. That was a big thing of people being able to do that. Other thing of messages they added was the ability to being able to send messages via satellite. Now, Apple does allow us, if everybody's familiar with the emergency SOS that they added, that was in iOS 17. This is a satellite feature, but now messages are also included, and you can send messages anywhere. If you're in a remote location, regardless if it's an emergency or not, you now can send a message to somebody to let people know that you're okay because you're out of an area where there is cellular service. So you do have that option here. So uh, some of the other things they've added, like in Apple Intelligence, you've got, of course, Apple Intelligence. You have to have an iPhone 15 Pro or later, so all the 16 models and the 15 Pro Max. You have being able to messages will suggest responses, so that gives you the option as well. So they've added a lot of different Apple Intelligence features in here as well. Emoji redesign, stickers, text formatting. You can actually do some different formatting with text, and this is the fun thing where you can actually do big, jiggle, small, shake. You can add all these fun things in here. This gives you the option of being able to do that. So um, uh, yeah, text messaging is kind of a cool thing. You know, there is a lot of different things out there. So I wanted to open up with some questions because I don't have much else here that I've gone through today. What's people's pain points with iOS 18? I would love to hear people's feedback on that. I can answer questions.
Yeah, feel free to unmute and ask a question if you wish.
Yeah, please.
I have a question about the thing you were showing. Let's see if I can. Where I lost it. Oh, if you hide an app, because
Mhm.
what I tend to do, I don't go from screen to screen in order to find an app. I just do the search feature, just to pull down
Right.
and type in the
Mhm.
thing. If I were to hide, so let's say one password, um, and then I do a search on it, does it still come up and does it stay hidden?
Um, so let's go back to my hidden apps here. I'm going to go into here. So these apps are still hidden.
Right.
As you see, it opened up because of my Face ID. So if you didn't have my Face ID, I wouldn't be able to get to this folder here.
Right.
So let's say, so I've got DoorDash hidden, so I can go back and let's search for it. You can go DOOR. Nope, doesn't come up. See that?
It doesn't come up. Interesting.
That's
Okay.
so that's what's great about uh, the this ability is being able to hide apps. You know, I think a good common reason to do this, a banking app that would be probably a perfect example to what you would
Right.
do is to put a banking app in place because people could easily find your banking app, especially if they get a hold of your phone and they got the passcode and they think they're going to get to your
Right. So how do you, uh, maybe you may have done this, but if you don't mind showing it
no,
again,
please.
since it
No,
didn't
no.
stick in my head and maybe others. So if you hide the app, you say you hide your banking app and then you get a check that you want to deposit, how do you find it again?
So what'll happen is you know you hide it. You know you hid it. So what you
Right.
do is you go over to the. This is the easiest way is to get over to the
App
app library
library.
and then
Okay.
go to the hidden app. And if you're noticing at the top in the dynamic island, in this case, it brought the apps up. So then if I want to go into DoorDash here, it just did my Face ID and then boom, I'm in. Um,
So, yeah, I guess that's what I'm not quite following. So,
okay, I can do it again.
all right. So, okay. I get to, you go to that, thing and then you get the app, require if I said,
It's the
so
hidden
it's
folder.
as long as you show your face, then they pop up? They become unhidden immediately? Is that how it works?
Yeah.
Or
So
no?
like here, I'm gonna do another app. I'm gonna hide it here. Like I'm hiding the Flickr app here.
All
Okay.
right.
I click flick hide. So of course it disappeared.
Right.
So then I scroll over to the into the app library, and if I don't, not everybody likes to use the app library, but uh, I find it convenient because it brings you to places, especially when you've recently added an app. Because by default, what happens is that Apple does add apps and then it puts them into the recently added, but it doesn't put it onto a home screen page. So it
Right.
varies what you want to do. So when you scroll down here, this hidden folder is always going to be at the bottom right. So it's easy to remember where that's at. And all I'm doing is tapping it, and then you're seeing that the
So
Face
you
ID is
tap the folder. That's what
the
you're doing.
folder
You're
itself.
tapping the
Yeah,
folder. Okay. All right.
the
And then
folder
everything
itself.
that's in there shows itself.
And then of course Flickr just now required a Face ID, as I told to do both.
Ah,
Um,
okay. All right. Okay.
because
All
I
right.
mean, let me do another app. Just
No, what I missed was is that you're tapping the folder and then all
right.
of the effects
Yeah.
show
So
up. That's what I
yeah.
didn't.
So I'm scrolling all the way down to here. I'm going here to here. You can't search for it, so you got to go back here. You actually have to go find it here, and then
Library.
I'm going to tap this folder
Okay.
with my finger, and
Right.
then Face ID comes up at the top there
Right.
when it finds me,
Right. I
and
see. Okay. Now I get
and
it.
and then it's there. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
Thank
nice.
you.
That was a nice added feature when it comes to iOS 18.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
uh, 18.1 is out now, and of course you talked about the rumors of 18.2 that'll be
Right.
coming soon. That's a pretty solid rumor from that they're going to release it in
December.
December 9th. So
Yeah.
uh, and that's going to enhance more of the Apple Intelligence features. Didn't have wanted to go diving into that too deep because that's probably a whole topic all by itself. So, uh,
Right.
but it's but they're continuing on to do some pretty impressive updates to what they've done with iOS 18.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let's see what else. So that's all I've got. Let me open it up to other people.
Yeah, please ask me questions. I'm
Other
happy to
folks?
answer them. Gotta have something.
Comments?
How many?
No?
So how many people have a 15 or a 16? Is there a lot of
I
people here that doesn't?
do.
Still on the old model?
Yeah.
Um,
I have the new one. And Charles has a new one too. He's
yeah, I upgrade every year, so
yeah, I do too. I do too.
uh, so it's
Charles.
Okay, I have a question.
great.
I You might not be able to answer this one. They might not have thought of it.
That's
But what if I'm a senior, I'm older, I forget.
right.
So
No
I
problem.
forgot I hid it
Ah.
and I download it again.
I don't know if you can do that. That's a good question. Great question. Let me if I let's go to the App Store and let's check that. That's an excellent question. So let's see. So if I go here, let's see if it's hidden. I do like so I know DoorDash was the one I hit one of my hid. Oh, it's there. Look at that. That's interesting. It says open, but what'll happen is if
Right.
I
What
tap, but that what happens is when I tap open, it's gonna it just did my Face ID and opened it. So you don't have to go there. That's another way of doing it, I
so
guess. Let me show you again.
so if somebody else did it though, because it requires Face ID, they wouldn't be able to open it.
Face ID, unless you've added an additional Face ID to your account, like if you had maybe your spouse or kids, to put Face ID in there, and that's actually not a bad idea. For family support, you get your phone and be able to get to it through having their Face ID storage, you could do that as an alternate ID. But the reason why I was able to get to that is because the app says I can open it just by doing it through App Store. It doesn't block it in the App Store.
Okay.
So, did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
What
Uh,
what is the article that you were using as the background here? Is that Macworld
Mac
or Mac
Rumors.
Rumors? Mac
I,
Rumors.
I love Mac Rumors.
Yeah, they do a good job.
Yeah, this is the iOS 18 Messages app that was here. A couple of things I'll talk about is anybody's familiar about how in SIM cards having some people have two SIM cards and that'd be the eSIM. Everybody understands what the eSIM is. I absolutely love eSIMs, and I'm glad that they don't have physical SIMs anymore. Any of the new phones. So uh, you can you actually can swap them and add a control center toggle. I didn't even think about that. So it allows you to be able to like if not, I don't think anybody here probably has two lines. I mean, they're not crazy like me. I have additional phones that I use for support. Like I have my iPhone 13 has a free T-Mobile account as part of my family plan, but I can add that line to my iPhone, and be able to have two numbers at once. Now you can add a control center toggle, so you can toggle uh, between them. So another thing that they've done as far as suggestions goes for the phone, when you start typing in a number with the keypad in iOS 18, you can now see a list of contacts that you can get to quickly who you want to call. So if you start typing in numbers, I'm not going to do that because it'll show my contacts, but you can actually type your number in as you're typing it in. It's going to bring up suggestions to who has that number, and it come up quicker than you having to type in the whole number, or even putting because you can't search by name, but if you know the phone number, especially by area code, that helps. There might be a lot that comes up, but you have that option as far as that goes. Um, so that's some of the other things as far as iOS 18 goes. I know some of the other things they've done. They've done some mail improvements. The Photos app. I'd love to hear what people think about the Photos app. I'm struggling with it, honestly. I think I don't think I have any incriminating photos in here, but so I'm struggling with it because it brings up the photos in recent days. I was so used to the organization. I'm still having trouble finding things. And type in Las Vegas, search 1,100 pictures from Las Vegas. Jeez. So you can actually search photos here, and it does give you the options as far as flipping through them pretty quickly here. Uh, and Yeah, it lays it out. And so other things it does have a layout for albums, like if you wanted to create a layout like this, and brings up all the different photos and such. Gives you that option too. Does anybody else have photos? Have you struggled with that?
I find it a little annoying when I've just taken a photo and I want to find that photo.
Right.
And yeah, anyway, I haven't been able to find it as easily. I just want it's like I don't want all this extra stuff. I just want it to show me in the sequence that photos were taken, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's definitely going to be and it's interesting. To say the least, it is interesting with photos. I find it to be uh, a bit of a challenge as far as I'm concerned when it comes to that. Uh, More questions, please.
Everybody else is either hasn't upgraded yet
Oh yeah, why? What? Why? What's the hesitation? I'd love to know what the hesitation is for to upgrading. What's on people's mind for that?
I tend to upgrade my iPhone pretty quickly. I don't always
Me too.
upgrade. I don't on my Mac, I'm still not on the newest OS. But I
Yeah,
don't know.
well, that's understandable since Sequoia is having some challenges. I mean, in the
Yeah.
corporate world, they've been holding back, but obviously you don't have a choice now because Sequoia is default for the M4. Um, I just bought
Right.
the M4 Mac Mini, by the way. Love it, love it.
Oh
Uh,
my,
uh,
okay.
and I also have the Vision Pro. So
Oh, wow, very good.
yeah, so I can talk a little about the Vision Pro only because it does a lot of interaction with iOS 18. Um, I'm finding it to be interesting so far how you can interact with things when you're on your phone, being able to spend this. The biggest thing is the photos with the spatial video and spatial photos. Now you mentioned earlier in during your new segment about Final Cut Pro now is able to edit spatial videos and spatial photos. So that's a big, huge game changer. I haven't had a lot of time to dabble with that just yet, but um, the Vision Pro does have some nice little interactions when it comes to with that. It's still got a little ways to go, in my opinion. It does have a lot of app developers have not offered apps for that just yet. So it's been a bit of a challenge here with that. But yeah, that's what the Vision Pro.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've been very impressed with the conversion of a 2D photo to a 3D
yeah,
within Photos. I've
yeah,
done that with a few.
sure.
And it's a soft conversion because you can turn it on and off. But it does work very well, viewing through the Vision Pro.
Oh,
And I've also been experimenting with the Final Cut Pro 11
nice.
spatial capabilities.
Yeah, it's definitely been a huge change. Another one I'll actually mention is the Apple TV app. That one of the things they did add is Insights, which of course Amazon's had that for a bit from on their Fire TV's devices, but it does provide more information about the music, the actors, and the TV show or a movie, and that it can be used. Then you can use the iPhone as a remote with the Apple TV 4K. But it is limited to Apple TV Plus shows so far, so they haven't really expanded it beyond that, which is, so Amazon's a little ahead of the game when it comes to that feature in Apple on the Apple TV. Uh, so, so the Home app actually was another good thing that they've added. They've added new guest features. If those of you who use the Home app and be able to with all your automation in your home, it gives you temporary access to, let's say, smart locks or garage door openers or alarm systems at select times. And you basically, they've added a little bit of enhancements in the Home app within iOS 18 when it comes to that. So, if you one thing I know, the one thing I talk about is the calendar app, and notice if anybody noticed it, they combine the calendar and the reminders in one place on the calendar now, which is probably a good thing. So now you can create, view, and edit them right from one place instead of having to toggle between um, the uh, the two apps separately, which we have done in the past. So um, other thing too is I don't know if and Linda, you haven't upgraded to Mac OS Sequoia yet. iPhone mirroring is a cool new feature that they've added. I've been I've been using another program called Bezel. That's how I've used this to demonstrate my iPhone. Let me see if I can pull this off here, and I'll remove this and show you the iPhone mirroring. This is what it looks like, and then what I do is I just enter uh, the Mac login here. Well, that just put your password in here, uh, and then what it does is it's now going to connect to my iPhone. And now, if you notice here, now I've got access to the iPhone with my mouse. So you see that? So this is a brand new feature in Sequoia. I'm still getting used to it. Haven't been able to see how you can get to the control center yet, but you can move things around. You can launch apps. Like here's just launching an app. You can go back. The only thing is you don't have access to the iPhone while you're sharing. So I can't go, and if I go to unlock it from my phone here, it's going to close it. It says it's going to be in use. So there are some limitations to the use of the iPhone mirroring. I'm pleased to see that Apple's done this. I'm still getting used to being able to navigate it. I don't know how important it is to too many people. Not too many people like to present with their iPhones, other than someone like me or others who do presentations here. But it is pretty cool. They've added that feature in here when it comes to that. Um, the other thing too, I didn't talk too much about is the added hearing health that they've added with iOS 18.1. Uh, so you now have hearing capabilities with the AirPods Pro 2. I did try to start going through the hearing test. I don't know if anybody's tried it yet, but you got to be in a really quiet room. So if anybody's screaming or making noise in the background, it does pick a lot of the noise up. So, but it's pretty cool, and it does give you some suggestions to how it feels, how your hearing is, and it can be used as a hearing aid. And that's what the biggest thing that they did with hearing health was a big, huge thing that they added in here. So it's it's definitely something that they've added. I think is a really great thing as far as that goes. Um, the They do have they have, for those who like gaming, they have a thing called game mode, and what that does is it's designed to minimize background activity so that the iPhone's processing power can go towards the game, because it's important that game has to be really smooth and fast, and uh, so you can game for hours like we like to do here. Um, so yeah, there's the other thing that they did is they've been doing like eye tracking. They're looking at that. The eye tracking in the Vision Pro is kind of crazy. I'll be honest, because all I have to do is like, I had to get used to it with the Vision Pro, and I mean to be going back and forth here, but I could not figure out, because what it does is when you raise your hand up like I'm raising now, you have to, I normally I would move my head and move it and look at it. Well, no, you can't do that. I have to move my eyes, and then the button comes up. I flip it, tap it, and then brings me up to the menu, because now what I can do with my Mac is it gives me the ability to be able to share, to look at my Mac screen, my virtual display, and it is giant, and now has, as I'm running the beta, you have it. It must be like a 34-inch screen, big, huge virtual display. So eye tracking is I think the thing that Apple is looking at, especially uh, with the Vision Pro, and they've been talking about a number of videos that they've released with immersive technology. Um, they did that one little short video called Submerged. You could watch it on YouTube. It doesn't give it justice unless you get to experience it on a Vision Pro. I mean, it's just crazy, 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 crazy. I mean, just the depth of looking at how it looks is pretty amazing and breathtaking. There's some videos you're looking down mountains and down peaks, and you got to have a strong stomach if it's gonna give you any issues with that. But yeah, it's some other great things. Now you now can, with iPhones, you can actually add external drives and be able to format them, which is crazy. Whoever thought you could do that? Get a USB-C external drive. A lot of people do that because they're using their iPhone 16 Pro Max as a camera, especially if they're shooting RAW, which is the really high-end camera format. You now can format the drives from the iPhone as well as connect it and offload photos onto the external drive. Um, you you've also got as I said, you also now with emergency SOS, you can actually send video to emergency responders with live video support, which is pretty amazing, because the ability to have video, so the emergency responder can see what's going on in what your issue is with the emergency. Uh, Pretty incredible. Apple's doing that, and they still don't charge for that, which is a pretty cool thing. Um, a couple other things they added too was in the podcast app. You can now they're showing chapter segments. If I don't know if anybody uses the Apple Podcast, I tend to use. I'm more of a Pocket Cast guy. I like Pocket Casts. There's Overcast and a number of others. So the that's in there as well. Uh, yeah. The other thing with the camera app, when you're recording a video, you can now choose to have the audio playing on your iPhone can continue to play in the background, whether it's automatically pausing. So when you're recording it, it actually lets the music play in the background. So because a lot of times in the past, in older versions, you can choose that. If you want the audio to continue to play in the background rather than pausing it, you can set that now. You couldn't do that before.
Wait a minute, I'm not sure what you're talking about,
In the camera app, when you record a video, you can choose to
right?
have the audio playing on your iPhone to continue to play in the background, whether other than automatically pausing.
So you're talking about if so when I'm thinking about recording, what I've been recording of videos most recently is concerts, and that has music in it.
Yeah.
If you're talking about like if I have a cat video and I want some kind of music to go along with it, is that what you mean?
Yes. Let me show you real
Okay.
quick here. Let me close out.
We
Maybe
are
so.
running a little short on time, but
Okay. I can just. I'll
go
be,
ahead.
I made up some time here. All you gotta do is go into settings and then go into camera. I'll just show that to you real quick, and I appreciate you guys.
Okay.
Camera. So under record sound right here. Right now it's set to spatial audio. You
Right.
can allow you can allow audio playback, and it won't pause automatically when you're recording the video, because that's what it says. When you play in the audio using the iPhone speaker, the audio will record in mono. So that's what it does. This gives you this basically just the flexibility of the sounds here. So
Okay.
all right.
All right.
Well, hope you enjoyed what I had to provide here with iOS 18. There's a lot more to cover. I mean, I can keep going, and I just kept it brief only because I didn't want to go over on time here. But I do appreciate you inviting me and including you in on your group, and always enjoy doing that with you guys.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Thank
and
you.
yeah, make sure if you want to get a hold of me, you can go to In Touch with iOS at intouchwithios.com. That's my podcast. Been doing it for over almost 9 years now, so it's been going a long time. So come check it out. We're talking about this every week, and give you all kinds of insights of what's going on in the world of Apple. So I'd love for you to check it out if you haven't already. So with that, thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, David, thank you very much. We appreciate you.
Thank you. I do.
All righty.
Did you find this presentation interesting and useful? Please boost this video by clicking the like button below. You may also subscribe to our channel. Please use the bell icon button to receive notifications. Like, subscribe, and notify actions will help publicize our content on YouTube. We greatly appreciate your attention.